Hey, it's Mark Oskowitz from Tri-Gable Farm. This is part of our Get Your Grove On series, where we take a look at establishing an orchard in your yard. So, I'm standing in my orchard, and what I wanted to do was put a video together about kind of like learning from some of my failures. And peach trees are definitely the first trees that fruited in my orchard when I established it. They're vigorous growers, and so because of that, you really have to keep on top of them and really watch out for when they set fruit that nothing's going to snap off. We go a little bit into this in the class that I teach that's on our website, but this is one of those videos that adds more that we just can't get to in the class. The class is mostly about planning your orchard and all the thoughts, the things that you should think about before you even get stuff in the ground. Yeah, so let's take a look. What I have for you is some failures. So, of course, I keep showing this tree. It's my baby. I love it. It's got a perfect vase shape that's been coming along. We got a little one that's on its way. It's kind of hard to see, but I've got a video of me pruning that to establish what will become the vase shape. It will eventually look like this. This one needs to be pruned. But you can see the main leaders out that they're going to form the vase shape, and this one's also a good one. Very vigorous grower here, but a lot of pruning still needs to be done. But you can see the vase shape that's there. So I lost and failed to get a vase shape on these trees because they fruited first, and they had limbs that snapped right off of them. So basically, what I have is more of a fan shape. Now, it is, rather than being three-dimensional, you see it's almost like an espalier tree against a wall or something like that. All 1, 2, 3, 4 main branches, they are all like in the same orientation rather than being spread out evenly along the trunk. And what you can see is here is where I did have a limb, but I failed to prune it. And so it got so heavy during the season with fruit that it snapped right off. It was a traumatic break. And when does this really happen? This happens right before the fruit. You're gonna harvest the fruit. But it tends to not happen when the fruit is ripe and when you could even harvest it. It's such a devastating loss because imagine it, you see the fruit, the tree's loaded with fruit, it's doing well, nothing seems to be stressed, and then you're in the middle of summer and you get like a drought, and then you get a really good rain, and what happens is the tree responds and uses that to pump growth, and the fruit's pumping up, you're like, yeah, but then you really start to see the branches way down. And you can't prop up something like that. You got to start making tough decisions, which I've done on my other trees, which is like start looking at the ends and going, all right, take off some of the leverage, literally cutting a huge section off. This was one where, I made a choice to like get rid of one that was here. You're limiting how far it goes out. I do that now, but I didn't do it early on, and that's when I lost limb after limb after limb, because what you'll have is the next time after they're pumped up, the fruit's pumped up, you end up, the fruit's heavier, and then you'll get another stormy that's windy, rainy and everything, and that added weight just snaps the branches. You'll get the wind and everything, it just catches the wind, and it's traumatic. So learn from my failures. This tree is a failure because of that, but it's still here. It still fruits. This one also had some failures, but not so bad. But you can see actually how some of the boughs are actually pointing downward. On that far tree way over there, I don't have any of the boughs pointing downward. With these, they're kind of growing up and then down because they did survive those storms. And didn't snap off, but they're like permanently low hanging now. So that's, yeah. And so this is an example of one where I wasn't able to establish the central, this is almost like a semi-central leader in here. It's not a true vase shape. And then this one's kind of like the worst. It's going to be the first tree that I remove, and it's only got two main branches coming off the main trunk, and it's because, you know, we had a catastrophic failure here and there, and yeah, almost lost the whole tree. And honestly, peaches grow back so fast that when I do cut that tree out, it's not going to take long, you know. So this tree right here, I think, has been planted here for a couple years. This one, probably 3 or 4. And just look at just like how big it already is. And this one, I think, is about 5 or so. They're only, I think each of these is about a year apart. It's kind of good to see growth. That one. And then this is like another year. And then this is another year. And so if you do have catastrophic failures, if you do need to to cut your losses and start fresh, it's not the end of the world. I actually had a diseased pear plum tree. I could never get it to get rid of the canker that was on it, and it would just always fail. And it was planted, you know, in this area right here, and I cut it off at the base, planted a pear tree in its spot, and a few years later that pear's taken off. So sometimes it's better to give up on a plant, even though you paid a lot of money for it. But hopefully, if you keep on top of pruning, making sure that the limbs don't go out too far when they're weighted down with fruit, and all the other things that are part of this pruning series. If you watch all the videos, you know, and even take my class, you get the bigger picture of what to look for in establishing your at-home orchard. Thanks for watching.